Hello Turkaholics, and thank you for downloading this episode of Football a la Turca. We hope you enjoy our podcast and the work we put into bringing it to you each and every week completely free. But for those of you who want to support the show, you can join us on Patreon for just $3 a month. Money we'll use to continue improving our hardware, software, and fund our annual hosting on Podbean. You can do so on patreon.com/FALT or just check the show notes. Thank you for your consideration of patronage and enjoy the show. Hello Turkaholics, and welcome back to Football a la Turca. I hope you enjoyed our John McManus interview last week and that you went out and bought yourself Welcome to Hell. Let us know how you like John's book, and be sure to tweet John as well if you are a fan of his work. But I'm back here joined by Umut Naderi and Burak Sizgin. Thanks for joining me.
Hello.
Thank you, Kaan. It's good to be back on. Just hot off the heels of a 6-1 spanking of Fenerbahçe by Bayern Munich, which we will talk about a little bit later, no doubt. And my message to Özaz is, I hope the chicken was worth it, my friend. I hope that damn jerk chicken was worth it.
Okay, so let's get into the Europa League results. Of course, last week we previewed Malatyaspor's opponent Olimpia. But of course they played on Thursday. They played to a 2-2 draw, not a very good result for Malatyaspor. The goals from Malatyaspor here came from Mina, the defender. His long shot got deflected by Bifuma, and that was good for the 1-1. And then Adis Jahovic converted a penalty in the second half, but it wouldn't last because Olimpia, the Slovenians, got back into the match and got an equalizer. So 2-2 away for them is a good result. Of course, not a very good result for Malatyaspor. They'll have to go to Ljubljana on Thursday and hopefully get a win there, or at least a 3-3 draw or something to advance to the next stage. And their opponents more than likely will be Partizan Belgrade. So, you know, even if they manage to get past this hurdle against Ljubljana, it's probably going to end for them in the next round, especially. I don't know if either of you watched the game, but they were very unimpressive. I think they still lack some key players in some important positions.
Nothing to add. I hope Malatyaspor do it and go through. It's always good to have a Turkish team in those rounds of the Europa League, and especially with Malatyaspor, it'd be interesting to see what kind of tactics Staggering goes out there with. And I'm going to predict that they win. And they win the tie, that is, and they go through to the next round. And I just want to see some more European teams come to Malatya and just think, what the fuck is going on here? So that's what I want to see, and it'll be good to see some football in that stadium.
Yeah, true. What do you think, Umut? Are they gonna make it through to the next round?
Well, I hope they make it. It's a decent game Malatyaspor had, and I feel they can make it through.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, if you look at Olympia's results in the previous round, they lost at home. They managed to go and get the qualification to this round away from home. So they're definitely, at this point, seemingly better away from home than at home. But in the league, they're leading. They beat Maribor in the league, and that's a team that has played Champions League in recent years. So, I mean, it's not a bad side, and Cekic is one of the players that Miranzore pointed out in our preview last week, and he, I think, was their man of the match. He was very dangerous. Malatyaspor really struggled with him. Defensively, Malatya just didn't really look all that, and it wasn't really until Guilherme came in the second half that Malatyaspor finally managed to create some danger. I mean, all the danger really came from him, but all in all, I think if you compare the side that Sergen had last season at Alanyaspor was a better overall quality side than Malatya are right now. They simply, you noticed it very, very badly that they really miss Daniel Aleksic, and they haven't really replaced him because Fofana is a very different type of player, and then they have Bifuma on the right, Fofana on the left, very similar types, quick counter-attackers. But with Aleksic, they had someone who could create something. With Guilherme, they have someone who can create something. But they had both of those last season. So I think against a team like Olympia, where they're more than likely to be expected to be the better side, the dominating side, the side in possession, you saw that they really struggled there. I think that honestly, if they can play counter football against the Partizan, for example, they're probably gonna look better than they did against Ljubljana. But let's keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully, they can go through to that next round against a very attractive opponent, Partizan Belgrade, a big team in Europe, especially in the Europa League at least, and in that area of Europe at least, in the Balkan, it's a really big club, and it would be really cool to see Malatyaspor play against a team like that. Even if that's the end for them, I mean, at least then they go out against a side with tradition and all that. But let's go over to the other team that's active in the Europa League qualifiers. That's Trabzonspor. They will have to play Sparta Prague. Very tough draw for them. Of course, Sparta Prague did not win the league in the Czech Republic last season. They didn't even end in the top two. So, interesting tie for Trabzonspor. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Burak, do you see Trabzonspor advancing against Sparta Prague?
I think they do. I still think they need a striker. I mean, there's talk of Daniel Sturridge, and I don't know if he's going to be cut out for the Turkish league with its physicality and the fact he's very injury prone. And there's also talk of Yusuf Yazıcı potentially going off to, I think it's Lazio, or is it Lyon or Lille? Lille, I believe.
Yes,
who are in for him.
Lille have made multiple offers for him already.
Indeed, but I think Trabzonspor, I think they can win. They can go through. I think they've got the quality in their team with the likes of the Abdulkadirs and Wakayeme, Yusuf if he stays. But another goal scorer is what they need. But I think against Sparta Prague, who, like you say, they didn't win the Czech League last season, I'm unsure of what they've made transfer-wise to strengthen their team. But Sparta Prague are a team that regularly, I think, come up against Turkish opposition, and it's always been a case of the Turks usually beating them. I think Fenerbahçe
played them multiple times, and Besiktas did, but that was like in the really early and mid-2000s, so that's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
But I still think with the talent that Trabzon have and the youngsters coming in, that they'll have the energy to get past them. So my prediction is a Trabzonspor victory.
What do you think, Umut? Are they going to be able to do it?
Well, their playstyle resembles like the Ajax kind of playstyle, like play the ball really fast towards the midfield and use every kind of opportunity to get inside the opposition's box. And with the youngsters they developed from their academy, like Abdulkadirs, two Abdulkadirs, and Yusuf Yazıcı as well, shines really well. And like Burak said, they like a striker, like Sturridge. So if that happens, I can see them going.
Mm-hmm. But I think they're definitely, they knew they were have to bring in a striker. They still have time, of course. The league isn't starting yet for another 3 weeks or so. They still have plenty of time in that regard. But they've known Hugo Rodallega was leaving. I don't really know. Do they even have a striker right now? I mean, they have players that can play there, but I think they're leaving it a little late, especially for those European qualifiers, because the first leg is away on the 8th of August, and then the return at home is on the 15th. So they still have 2 weeks for that. I guess a week or so to get the transfer sorted. I don't know when the window closes for their registration. But I don't know about Daniel Sturridge. It seems a little I mean, he'd have to cost like 3.5-4 million a year or something, and how can Trabzonspor afford that? Let's be honest. They just got a bailout from the government this past couple of months to even be able to partake in the UEFA competition, and I don't know. I don't think that's feasible for them. I don't know how they would be able to afford a Daniel Sturridge. It seems kind of like a little bit of a transfer hoax, kind of blown out of proportion, something that doesn't seem realistic.
Well, I think Daniel Sturridge has been saying that Trabzonspor is a potential option for him. It's not his first or second choice by all means. But I agree with you, Kaan. I don't know where Trabzonspor are going to find the money to pay the wages for someone like that. I don't know if there's anyone else knocking around that they could pick up on a free, potentially out there. I don't know if there's anyone else in the Turkish league that they could potentially try and grab, but no one really springs to mind with regards to an actual striker or goal scorer. So, like you say, they're leaving it very late, just like a lot of the other Turkish clubs are as well, to get someone, bring them in, get them used to the facilities, the team, the teammates, etc., and used to the style of play that the coach wants them to, so they can actually make an impression. So, all that being said and done, I still think they've got enough quality to beat Sparta Prague.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Sparta Prague is kind of a question mark for us, let's be honest. I'll be speaking to Andrej Lamal from UEFA.com in the next week or so to preview Sparta Prague, to dig into what kind of quality do they have right now. But I was waiting to see whether it would be Olympiacos or Victoria Pilsen who would be playing our dear friends of Basaksehir in the qualifiers for the Champions League before I set a date for that interview, because I thought about maybe combining it, should it be Victoria Pilsen. So that immediately brings us to our next segment in the Champions League. Basaksehir will be playing Olympiacos Piraeus from Greece and not Victoria Pilsen. That tie ended tonight, and Olympiacos kind of impressed against Victoria Pilsen, at least score-wise. I think it was, last I checked, was 3-0 already, and I actually haven't checked in on the final scoreline. But Olympiacos will be Başakşehir's opponent. It's a team that in recent years Galatasaray have played against, I think. Besiktas have played against, although maybe for Galatasaray you have to go a while back already. Besiktas played them in the Europa League a couple of years ago in the, what was it, round of 32 or something like that. Of course, a really big club in Greece, but did not win the league title in Greece either this season. So Sparta Prague, a team that is known as a really big club in the Czech Republic that tends to win the league there quite frequently. Although in recent years, Victoria Pilsen definitely have come in and stuck a stick in their wheel. And then last season, Slavia Prague were the champions, of course, with Miroslav Stoch. We're going a little bit on a tangent here, but Olympiacos, big opponents. Burak, what do you expect? Are Başakşehir going to be able to manage past them with Okan Buruk at the helm now?
No, I don't think so. It is Olympiacos 4-0. They banged Victoria Pleasant. Matthew Balbuena got an assist in that game as well. Old Mr. Little Bujus. But yeah, Başakşehir, I just don't think they've got it in them to go to somewhere like an Olympiacos and perform away
really well
away
against
from
Sevilla.
home.
Huh? Let's not forget that.
Yeah, potentially, but I just don't think they're gonna show up.
And they knocked out Club Brugge 2 years ago. That's not an easy tie either.
Oh, come on, Club Brugge,
Hey, Club Brugge spanked Besiktas and Besiktas spanked Olympiacos. Ergo.
Yeah, if you use that train of thought, then we could trace this back years and years. But I think Olympiacos will prove a little bit too much for Başakşehir. I just don't think they've got it in them to beat them. So.
Yeah, it's in the main disadvantage here is that Olympiacos, of course, already have had important games in their legs. They're fit, they're ready to play, and the Başakşehir only played some friendlies. They will actually be playing AEK at Athens tomorrow. I'm sure that they lined them up as their opponents in a friendly just to get a little bit of a feel for a Greek opponent. Umut, what do you think? Are Başakşehir going to be able to knock off the Greek Rekordmeister?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, their leader on the field was Emre Belözoğlu, transferred to Fenerbahçe recently. So I think they will be missing some kind of a leader on the field from this time. And with the coach change, Okan Buruk came. I think they're likely to struggle a bit, but they have to go easily. Like, they have the ability to go through this campaign.
Yeah, and I think it'll give us a good implication as well on what Başakşehir are going to be capable of this season. Of course, they didn't really lose much except for Emre Belözoğlu and, of course, Abdullah Avcı. But those are arguably, besides Edin Visca, were their most important figures, so to speak. I mean, Besiktas, I forget, almost said something along the lines of our biggest transfer this season is Abdullah Avcı, and I think that's potentially accurate estimation, and as well for Başakşehir, that's a big loss. And like Umut said, Emre Belözoğlu, his leadership on the pitch is a massive loss for them. We saw that in the past too, when Emre was injured or suspended. That it took them a while. Although I have to say, last season, beginning of the season, he missed some games and they played some good football in that period. So it definitely, I think they were getting used to it already a little bit, to life after Emre this past season. But Okan Buruk's a good coach, but the question is, can he have an immediate impact? And this is directly an opponent of top level. Olympiacos are club with champions, massive amounts of experience, Champions League experience. They of course have a guy like Matteo Valbuena now as well, who knows Turkey, who knows the opponent. So he'll definitely have some things to say, I think, in the tactical analysis of the opponent. Yeah, I think I'm very interested in this tie, and I'm gonna be very curious to see how far along Başakşehir is already. I think it's gonna be a very good, like I said, indication to see what we can expect of them. Are they gonna be in it for the title this season, or is it gonna be a year of rebuilding for them? But let's move on to some news bits, because there's quite a little bit to talk about this week. And the biggest thing, I think, is, maybe Burak will disagree with me and will think that the next point is more important, but a very big thing going on right now, and I'm surprised that there's been so little attention being paid to it. I mean, you don't really see any huge attention being paid to it, but beIN Sports and the TFF and the clubs union are currently in a little bit of a how should I put it, a power measurement, so to speak, because beIN Sports are apparently holding back some payments from the TV rights from last season. You may or may not know that the Turkish TV rights were sold a couple of years ago when it was still Digiturk for $500 million a year. beIN Sports, of course, bought out Digiturk, what was it, 2 years ago or something. I believe this deal still runs for a year, so at the end of this coming season it should be over, I believe. But $500 million, beIN Sports aren't happy about that deal because of course, the lira taking such a big plunge, and of course their assets in Turkey. They pay their income in Turkey, where still the biggest portion of their income is going to come from domestic customers. All of that is, of course, in lira. So they want to renegotiate the deal. They want to set a certain exchange rate. They want to lock it at 4. So let's say what that essentially means is that right now, on paper, they are paying 2.8 billion Turkish lira every year with the current exchange rate. They want to basically change that to 2 billion a year. So 800 million Turkish lira less a year is basically what they want. I don't know, what do you guys think about this? I mean, I was under the impression actually there was already a set currency exchange in this deal. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that. Burak, I'll turn to you first.
it's not something I've got a great deal of knowledge and background on, unfortunately. So with regards to the rates that they're looking to get, I just think it's having an adverse effect on a lot of the team's transfer policy, not policies, but their actions as well. Just because they're looking to see, what is going to be the state of the deal, what are they going to be looked to be offered as payment from beIN Sports. So a lot of the clubs are probably holding back on actually, I think, pushing through with certain transfers, etc., just so they know, because right now they don't know where they stand with regards to how much money is going to be coming into the club. And if you're under a financial fair play, what's the
Settlement,
correct word?
yeah.
A settlement, like Fenerbahçe are, like Galatasaray are, like Trabzonspor. Well, they're kind of, but they're still on the cusp and teetering, and for other clubs as well who are looking to just look at their budgets for the coming season. You need to know what is going to be coming in so you can adjust your outgoings accordingly. Now, whether that's wages, sponsorship, improvements to the stadium, etc. So I think a lot of clubs are unaware of what their actual budgets are going to be because of this limbo that we're currently in. So that could be, I think, the main reason why there's not as much transfer activity as usual, because we're getting quite close to the start of the season as well. So that's going to be problematic for players coming in who've not been able to have a good pre-season and playing these friendlies with the team to warm up to the club and their surroundings.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what. I think beIN Sports, maybe they're trying to almost use bully tactics for use of
it's extortion if you think about it. I mean, I'm not saying I don't understand their point of view. I mean, I get it. They're being. I mean, the subscriptions they're selling, like the let's say that 80% of the money they earn on the Turkish Super League is probably going to come from Turkish subscriptions. That's a rough estimate, but let's say it's 80%. But all that money that they're getting from that, it's being paid in lira. And I highly doubt that they jacked up the price significantly. I don't know, Umut, you have beIN Sports subscription, I think, right? Did they?
Yeah.
Did the price change at all the last year?
Not really much, but I think in real annually, a yearly basis, they get some increase in the subscription cost.
Yeah, but we're probably talking like 10, 20 lira or something, and not a significant change.
Yeah, not a significant per person, but in the total amount, it's gonna be a large amount.
Yeah, but if we look at the decline of the lira relative to, let's say, 2 years ago, before they ended up, that was after they bought already. So when they bought Digiturk outright, there was no indication of such a huge drop in currency value. So I get their point of view, but
they couldn't predict it.
No, they couldn't predict it, of course, but neither could our clubs. I think that's an important part too. So I get their point of view, but I think that they're potentially damaging their own investment here, especially. I mean, you can say from there, they could say, look, the deal is up in a year. But in a year we'll honor this deal. I think that's the right thing to do, to honor this deal, and then in a year, okay, look, guys, this isn't gonna work for us anymore. We're gonna have to pay less, and unless somebody else comes in with a better offer, then they'll have to accept that. But I think changing it now is very unfair to clubs that have already made their budgets. Look, Fenerbahçe have to reach full break even. Galatasaray will have to. I think, I'm not sure, but they probably have to reach. I think they are still allowed to have a deficit of 10 million this year. Trabzon will have to reach full break even. Look, Besiktas are out from under financial fair play right now, but that doesn't mean that they can suddenly lose 60 million euros. So all these clubs, and also with this new banking deal that's coming in, all these clubs have budgets that they have already made, estimated budgets, and they have calculated in the income from TV rights for beIN Sports to then go up and say, look, well, we're not willing to pay 2.8 billion, we're going to pay 2 billion. That 800 million lira divided by those 18 clubs, that's a large chunk for many of those clubs, especially the smaller ones. But I mean, even for the big ones, they can't miss that type of income right now. And I think what beIN Sports need to very well realize is that if they're gonna cheap out, so to speak, for this year, well, or try and force the clubs to make concessions, they could be harming their investment long term. And also, they could very well create a grudge here where when the deal is up and another offer comes in from another company, the clubs union may say, look, we don't want to work with you anymore. So I think beIN Sports needs to be really careful what they're going to do now, because they're putting a bomb under Turkish football. The future of Turkish football, I think. I don't know how you feel about it, Umut, but do you think this is proper business conduct from beIN Sports?
Well, I don't know about their working ethics right now, but this is a really bad case scenario for our clubs, to be honest, because we can see the huge gap, considering like how can you compare it from the other European leagues, like how. I think it's ultimate thing. Premier League is the top league, and they have the top amount of expenditures.
Rights, yeah. They
TV
get
rights.
like 96 million pounds a year per team, so that's like a billion plus. It's like a £2 billion deal a year or something like that. Crazy.
Their income is huge, and you can now see the newly rise to the league. Aston Villa is expanding huge, 100 millions. And now our top three clubs hasn't even get to that point. So there's a huge gap between our league and the others. So
to put it in perspective, though, Umut, Turkey is, I believe, the 6th highest TV rights. The TV market right now, the highest paid league. To put it in perspective, in Belgium, the current deal is 80 million euros a year.
Yeah.
And in Turkey, it's $500 million. So I don't think we can complain with that $500 million. I think that's a very fair deal for our clubs, for the level of the league and all that.
But you're forgetting the population amount, because I don't know how many people live in Belgium.
11 million.
Yeah, so it's like 7 or 8 times
of course
that amount. So
but you also need to look at the economy. The economy in Belgium is much stronger. In Turkey, with the lira, even before the plunge, the lira wasn't exactly strong.
Yes.
And it's also about average income per head and stuff like that. How much can people spend?
Economy is not my strong suit, but I'm trying to help you out here. So, so I think that's it. We're going to struggle competing with that kind of leagues in the next years.
It's impossible. It's impossible to compete with the Premier League. I think that any illusions of Turkey ever competing with the top 5 leagues that is impossible. They get so much money. They get so much also privilege in the sense of the top 4. I think get 4 direct tickets to the Champions League. All that big money. The gap is only going to become bigger and bigger. Turkey's competition are other nations like Belgium, like Holland, like Portugal, Russia. Those are the countries that we compete against. It's impossible to expect us to ever really be competitive with those top 4 leagues consistently. I don't think that's possible. But that's a different discussion to have, really.
Yeah.
It is, and I agree with you as well, Kaan, on that.
Yeah. Now, the big question here is, because I don't remember exactly where I got this from. I think from a conversation I had with Can Okar like a year ago or something. I'm not sure, so I haven't actually gone back and looked to find it. I did ask John, but I didn't get a reply from him. But I was under the impression that the beIN Sports deal, which is a massive deal, like I said, $500 million a year, I believe that makes Turkey the 6th highest football league in terms of TV rights, 6th or 7th highest in the world. So that's significant. But I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but that it was already set at a certain exchange rate, that was already built into the deal, and I think it was 3.4. So what does that mean is that, yes, it's 500 million a year, but it's that 500 million is set to $1 is 3.4 lira. Right now, in actuality, $1 is 5.5 lira. And what was suggested in the article, John McManus retweeted that, I believe, that beIN Sports now want to set it at 4. So if what I'm remembering is correct, then they're already making a sort of concession. So the question is now, was there already a 3.4 or whatever included in the existing deal? And are the clubs basically saying, look, no, we want 500 million? And who is in their right here? That's the question. Because if beIN Sports had that already in their contract, then they're completely in the right here. So that's the question that we need to ask and that we'll need to look into. But I think if that's not the case, then I think beIN Sports are making a huge mistake and are, like I said, putting a bomb under their investment under Turkish football in general. But let's close it here. Hopefully we can schedule an episode with John Akar in the near future, and hopefully he can find or help us at least get some sight into the existing beIN Sports TV rights deal. But let's move over to something else, something that's going to make Burak especially very happy, I think. KAS came back with a big decision today, and they have denied Trabzonspor's appeal regarding the 2010-2011 Turkish Super League final results. So that means Fenerbahçe remain the 2010-2011 Turkish League champions. And I think that's it for that. I don't think Trabzonspor have any further appeals, any further courts to go to. So I think this is just, look guys, accept it, move on. Regardless of how you feel about the situation, I think it's held Trabzonspor back for the past 8 years or so. And maybe, hopefully for them, they'll be able to move on finally from that now. And then I think it's definitely held Fenerbahçe back in a way too.
Yeah, of course, because we were riding high with very little debt. At that point in time, with a squad value of, I think, 150, 160 million euros.
About the very little debt, Burak. I don't think you accumulate 660 million over a couple of years.
But at the time, we had nowhere near as much debt as a team like Galatasaray did back in 2011. But
not that we know of, but I mean, Aziz must have been hiding it somehow, because suddenly. I mean, this 660 million debt mountain we didn't know about a year ago or so.
Well, we'll have to open up the finance books and have a look. We'll have to get Mr. John O'Connell to give us a financial breakdown and rundown. Mm-hmm. But like you say, it's been passed. The appeal has been thrown out. We've got I think we've got 3 back-to-back hearings in September. One of my friends in our Fenerbahçe group was telling me about. So we've got 3 court hearings in September for the first time in a very long time. Mm-hmm. And based on the outcome of that, will dictate what we can do with regards to beginning a legal case against the FA for lost earnings. Of course, you
mean UEFA, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to go towards if they're going to appeal against the Turkish FA as well. Like I say, need to wait to see the ins and outs of what the hearing is going to bring. Mm-hmm. But that is for us to worry about in September. But for the time being,
potential 30 or so million euros of Champions League money that Fenerbahçe missed out on.
Yep. So whatever is going to happen is, I'm sure the club's lawyers are building a case already around that, and I'm having no doubt that we'll be hearing about that very soon in the weeks leading up, during and after. But I just hope it gets just sorted out so we can just concentrate on playing some good football, because we're not doing that at the moment.
What do you expect out of this? Is this going to finally settle it? Do you think Trabzon are going to forget about it, or are we going to get some weird situations again when Fenerbahçe travel to Trabzon this season?
We're always going to get weird situations. We were getting them before that season happened as well. It just harks back to
never to the magnet. Yes, it harkens back to your favorite moment in time when Aykut did what he did, but I don't think it ever.
Yeah, it escalated.
As far, huh?
No, it escalated, and I think it depends how the chairman approach it. I think, with last season when you had Ali Koç and Fikret Orman getting together, because of the season before, all the shit that happened in the Fenerbahçe games, we might see, Ahmet Ağol open up extend the olive branch to Ali Koç in Trabzon. Ali Koç does the same, and these things need to come from the top really, and then they'll ripple down throughout the club. So we shall wait and see, because I think we're playing Trabzon in the first 3 or 4 weeks. We are, and I can't remember if it's away or at home that we play them, but that could be a good opportunity to extend, like I say, the olive branch of friendship so the fans can see that the chairman of the clubs are trying to come together to reduce the animosity, so that fans can travel in peace, they can watch the game in peace, they can come back in peace. And you're always going to get subsections of fans who are complete idiots. That happens all over the world, and there's nothing you can say to them apart from go fuck yourselves and behave like civilized human beings, basically. But like I said, I think it's a good opportunity to have the two chairmen of Fenerbahçe and Trabzonspor just put out a message of like friendship and unity, or whatever stuff they're calling it. I mean, it is International Friendship Day today, gentlemen, as well. So I'd like to wish you both and our listeners a very happy International Friendship Day, even if they're going to be listening to this tomorrow. But yeah, as the song goes, why can't we be friends? And let's wait and see how it pans out.
Why can't we be friends?
Exactly.
Why can't we be friends?
And that was a nice little rant from me. I've obviously been working with you for a long time now, Kaan, because it seems to have rubbed off on me.
You were doing that in episode 1, mate. Umut, what do you think about Trabzonspor? Is this finally gonna allow them to move on from this, or do you think it's only gonna get worse?
Well, I think they already just gave up, because it's been really years. Like it was in 2011, so they had to move on. But they are just Karadeniz people. They just can't give it out, because from Anadolu, you just get to be the title contenders, and just had to give it up at the last chance you get, and got defeated by a club you hate so much at the very last minute. And just rumors get spread over, they get match fixed, cheated, and did some stuff against them. So their anger just rising up at the time. But Karadeniz people, by their habit, they just cannot let go. So I think I don't think really this last decision will make them let it go. But just the decision. So I cannot say anything.
Yeah. I don't think so either. I don't think Trabzonspor will ever be able to, or at least the fans will ever be able to fully let this go. But maybe, I think that the best remedy against the pain, so to speak, that they feel, whether it's just or unjust, I think the best remedy against it is just winning the title. And they have a very interesting squad this season, and like Burak pointed out, I mean, they just really need a striker, and they could be in for a very fun season. We have some more positive news for Trabzonspor, though. Of course, their viral shirt announcement, their third kit this season, they had a very nicely produced video to announce that shirt, to reveal that shirt. you have to go and watch it. It's really really quite nice. Of a child with his friends playing football, and all the kids have a Trabzonspor shirt on, but this kid doesn't have one. And then some old Ebe or Hala or whatever she is, I don't know. She magically makes his the shirt he fashioned himself. She turns it into a real Trabzonspor shirt and the away shirt of this season, and that got a lot of attention. Gerard Piqué retweeted it, commented on it. Barcelona did the same thing. It got lots of attention. I don't know, last I looked it was up to like almost 100k likes and retweets. I'm sure it's gone beyond that since. It got massive attention. Supposedly there were already like 10 or 15,000 shirts sold within the first week or so, so that's really good for Trabzonspor. I don't know, obviously you guys saw it. What do you think of the shirt announcements, Burak?
It was a nice video. I don't know why we had to see that old woman's crusty foot in the video when it was showing it. I was like, it was going really well until then, and then I just ended up, being sick in my mouth a little bit. But Turks do that kind of video really well. They like to push the sentimental buttons and take you on this journey, and usually it ends with someone getting shot and being killed.
Or a rusty foot.
But in this case, it was like, a little sweet kid who was like, wants his I was thinking of something else, Abdul Qadir jersey. That the kid pulls it on, and it suddenly it turns to Abdul Qadir in the stadium, puts on a shirt, points to the badge. But the story leading up to it is just very well shot. As well, so
it's very good.
Turks are just always very good at making that kind of sentimental video that makes you.
Well,
I mean,
Malatyaspor tried to do the same thing, but that wasn't such a Umut, how did you like the shirt announcement from Trabzon?
Well, it's a great video, I think. Also, Gerard Piqué also got involved and did a great gesture to retweet it and spread it all around the world.
That really got it going.
Yeah, it's a really great gesture from him. I gave my thanks to him, and also the creativity on the video is really great. How they emphasized a little child's dreams coming through in the end. So also the design of the shirt is really great for Trabzon. I really liked it. The gray, the color fume, in French, which is smoke color.
Fume.
yeah, fume. So I really liked it.
Yeah, it was definitely. The video was amazing. I think.
Yeah,
I don't think there's been a better shirt announcement by any other club in Turkey, at least. It was great, and great propaganda promotion for Trabzonspor. I'm sure that got plenty of foreigners interested in the shirt and maybe sold quite a few of them. I don't know how the availability is. Not the availability, but how easy it is for a non-Turkish speaker to actually manage to order a Trabzonspor jersey. I don't know. Maybe they can. What's the brand that the Trabzonspor have? A Macron, I think, right? So,
Macron, yeah. They do really great shirts this year. Every team with Macron looks really great. Their designs are really good.
Yeah, we should hire them for next year.
Definitely.
Yeah. So and then one more thing for Trabzonspor, they have Vestel as a new shirt sponsor. No details yet that we could find, but they returned to Trabzonspor shirts since the early 90s when Vestel, of course, sponsored Trabzonspor too. That's the end for QNB Bank, for the dodgy Qatari investment in Trabzonspor that was likely helped along by the government. But Vestel, very nice to see them back on one of the Super League top size shirts. So I think it's going to look very well on their new kits.
Well, as long as return to Vestel includes a return to when we smashed them, I'll be happy.
Okay. Okay, let's move over to some other stuff, transfer news, and maybe some shirt talk. Besiktas, I don't know if we reported this already. I know when we last spoke about it, I said it was going to be done soon, but I don't think we've actually spoken about it being done. Tyler Boyd is officially a Besiktas player, has already played in 2 or 3 friendlies now. Came from Vitória de Guimarães for 2.4 million, and they will also retain 20% of his financial rights or whatever. They basically get 20% on the next sale. And they also Besiktas also signed Douglas from on a free transfer from Barcelona. He was of course on loan at Sivasspor last season. Got 7 assists as a right back. Had some impressive stats all around. 280 physical duels won. I think that's the highest in the league for any defender. From what I saw a graphic on that. And otherwise, Vitor Hugo, a deal that seemed to be done, fell through. He ended up signing for Palmeiras instead, who came in with a final minute offer, Fenerbahçe style, and hijacked him with a Range Rover back to Brazil. So Besiktas still on the look for a central defender with a left foot and a left back, because we'll speak a little briefly about friendly games perhaps. Caner Erkin, the only left back right now for Besiktas, at least, not counting youth players, of course, with Adriano leaving. His contract was up, and he signed with a Brazilian club, I forgot the name. But so he won't be returning, so Caner Erkin, the only left back Besiktas have right now. So they're looking for a new left back. Jamilo Collins is being named from Paderborn in the second Bundesliga, and also... who else were they looking at? Oh, right. Riza Durmisi from Lazio Roma, Danish international with an Albanian background. Let's speak briefly about Douglas, guys. What do you think? Good signing for Besiktas. Is he going to replace Gökhan Gönül in the long run or in the short run? Burak, what do you think?
I think good signing. He is a bright spark, isn't he, old Dougie boy? I think with Gökhan Gönül, I think I believe it's a signing with the intent to slowly, replace Gökhan Gönül. He's mid-30s now. He's
34, I think.
Still, a great professional. But his body's just given up on him. He's just someone who has had those injuries which they get a little bit, they wear on you as you get older and older. Mm-hmm. Not someone like an Emre who's still like 38, 39 and still playing to a high level. He's just, sometimes that just happens, with
but Emre's had that too. Since his mid-30s, he struggled a lot with those small little injuries too, like Gökhan kind of tends to do.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't see Gökhan playing until that age. At a top club. I can see him retiring in a couple of years, maybe after having one season back at his former club where he started his career, for example. But I think he's a good signing for Besiktas. It's all about how well he adapts to the team, and it's obviously a brand new regime as well with Abdullah Avcı. So I'm not sure how he's going to want him to play, how attacking and how defensive he wants them to set up. But I'm looking forward to seeing him in a Besiktas shirt, and and seeing how the forma rekabet is between him and Gökhan Gönül. So all in all, good signing for your boys.
Yeah, and cheap too, 800,000 euros a year. That's
as well.
Pretty unheard of.
Wages as well
for foreigners. Yeah, that's his wage. Yeah, 800,000 a year. So he's a free transfer. Was out of contract. Umut, what do you think, Douglas? Good signing for Besiktas.
Definitely. Also, as Burak said, Gökhan is not getting any younger, so they needed to buy an alternative for his position, and also a player who knows the league well, not very well, but well, because he experienced it for a whole season, mm-hmm. and he has a past from Barcelona, so you can expect him to adapt and play really good in a good environment. And a club like Besiktas, with players knowing each other, I think he will play really well. But I have doubts about his defensive contribution at this point. We'll see if he's going to perform good or perform like Caner Erkin, who forgets about defending in his games.
Well,
Sometimes.
statistically, he looks really impressive in terms of defending, but I mean, it's one of those things you have to watch the player closely to really assess that.
But it could be because like Sivasspor is not a big club, playing all attacking, more defending causes his defensive statistics go higher in every game. So
yes. Yeah, of course, that's a very right assessment.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd, I know we already spoke a little bit about him, but quick thoughts on that, guys. What do you think, Burak, Tyler Boyd? Will he be addition? Will he play an important role for Besiktas going forward, you think?
Yes, for me, I think he's going to have about 2 or 3 seasons before he gets snapped up by a European club, whether that's someone in Germany or the Premier League. I just think that will suit his style of play. But I think he's at a great club where he can push on with his career and development, under a good coach. Hopefully with some more, a lot more European football as well under his belt in the next couple of seasons. Like I say, we really enjoyed watching him at Ankaragücü. He formed a great partnership with Orgil. So I'm hoping he does the same with the likes of Burak Yilmaz and also with the other midfielders. So I'm interested to see how he slots in and performs regularly with the likes of Laic and Dorukhan. So, yeah, I think, it's a good signing. And he seems to have done well in the friendlies that he's played in, from what I've read from Besiktas accounts and fans. So can he reproduce that consistently is obviously the next question that's going to be asked of him, and for that only time is going to tell. So I just wish the league would hurry up and start.
What do you think, Umut? Tyler Boyd, how's he going to do at Besiktas?
Well, we'll see, because he did pretty well with Ankaragücü, and I watched his plays in USA games recently, so he impressed me. So I think it's a positive transfer for Besiktas, but it's still too early to say anything about it.
Mm-hmm. And a quick cheap plug here for those of you interested in learning a little bit more about Tyler Boyd. I interviewed his former coach Declan Edge, who coached him between the age of 10 and 17, and I also interviewed another former coach of his, Ricky Herbert, former coach of the Wellington Phoenix and New Zealand. He coached New Zealand at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. So definitely check out that interview on the Black Eagles podcast, episode 78. I spoke to both men about Tyler Boyd. What kind of kid was he? What kind of young player was he? Did you always see it in him? What are his main strengths? And how do you think he will do at Besiktas? All those answers and more in that episode 78 of the Black Eagles podcast. Go check it out. But let's move on. One more thing. Besiktas still in the market for a left back and a left central defender. They still have 3 weeks, but they have to sort that out, because Caner Erkin, having him alone as your only option at this point, with the form that he was in last season and the form that he's been showing in pre-season, that's putting a significant strain on your title chances, I think, guys. What do you think?
Yes, I think so, because even I think going into the season with Caner Erkin is putting a strain on it anyway in the first place. But you need to, as we saw tonight, Hassan Ali got injured to a Fener, and we had no alternative. Well, we had an alternative. We could have put on a fucking youngster, but we didn't because of the cowardice.
Did Ferdi play left back?
No, I think he played everywhere tonight. At one point, I think he was just like behind the goal collecting balls as well. But yeah, I think at least have another alternative for left back. I mean, we've got a few. I think it's got to be a lot of factors that affect the title challenge, and rather than not having an alternative for Caner. Let's put it that way.
Caner's defending he's always been a liability defensively, even at his heights at Fenerbahçe when he had like 17 assists in a single season. Defensively, he's always been a liability, but I mean, his form last season was quite abysmal, and he seems to be continuing that into the preseason now. I think Besiktas will have to get a first left back. I think it's fine to go into the season with Caner as your alternative, and for him to get his matches, but to always rely on him, especially in difficult away games or things like that, where the circumstances are going to be tougher, it's really putting a strain on your title chances. Umut, I'm sure you'll agree, because you of course enjoyed Caner Erkin's wonderful left back abilities against Atletico Madrid in the Europa League years ago.
Yeah, I hate that match. He single-handedly gave us, left us 10 men on the field, because he's mad to a decision that referee didn't give after a handball by Luis Armando Pereira inside the box. So
he still remembers the name by heart. It's like his Ivan Bebek. Yeah,
definitely, because it was a just obvious handball, and it was, I think, that year, it was the initial year, the first year that the sixth and the fifth referee was involved inside the Champions League games, and the position just happened in front of him, and they didn't give the penalty, and Caner just
lost the plot.
Lost the plot, and went to an opposition player with just his legs and all, and left us 10 men in a crucial game. Then also we lost the game.
So let's talk a little bit briefly about shirts afterwards, but let's quickly move on to Fenerbahçe. Not a lot of transfer news there right now, but they did bring in a lot of transfer budget by selling Eljif Elmas to Napoli for 16 million euros and 1.5 million in add-ons, if I'm not mistaken. 16 million euros for a player that did not play a key role last season. A player that I don't think will be particularly missed. I don't think that's a loss for them. Maybe in the long run. I mean, obviously Eljif had certain potential. Otherwise, Napoli wouldn't pay this type of money for him. But the player that he is right now, that's not a player Fenerbahçe will be missing. This is great business for them. They bought him for 200,000 or 180,000 euros, selling him now for ridiculous markup, 16 million initially. Burak, you must be ecstatic about that.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the business done. I think it's a good sign that we've got some good footballing people on the board that know how to conduct business and negotiations and transfers, such as Kamoli and Selahattin. And like you say, a good turnover in profit. You've made, including the add-ons and sell-ons, you're making a good 16, 17 million pound profit on the kid. And like you said, he was one of the better performers last season, but it wasn't a star-making season. So it wasn't the type of season like someone like a Yusuf Yazıcı had or an Abdul Qadir had. And that could be because it was an awful season for us, and the team wasn't playing to the capacity that would enhance Eljif. And Eljif wasn't a regular starter every single game, and he was played in a number of different positions. So he was defensive midfield, central midfield. He got shunted out onto the wing, but when he played that attacking midfield role, he did some damage. I think he got 4 goals, which isn't.
But most of it was on set pieces, I think, from headers and stuff like that, right? wait. Yeah, they got Did he score against Galatasaray too?
Yeah, he scored against that. That was from open play, and he got. I think it's Kasımpaşa, Antalya. Yeah, Antalya also. I think the only set piece was the header against Kasımpaşa.
And then he had a header that was disallowed as well in one of the final match days, I think.
Yeah, but like I say, it's good business, and that's the type of business we need to be involved in. Is buying cheap, sell them high, and keep that piece of trash, Cenk Yazıcı, the agent, out of the club. Scumbag.
I don't even know him. I mean, he's not. I don't think he has any clients in Besiktas. I don't know.
Yeah, he's been trying to tap up Emre Mor apparently. So,
but I mean, I see a lot of reactions of people that are really they don't understand it. Some extreme reactions even. But I have to say, I mean, I don't see it in Eljif either. But I have to say as well that it's important to know, like he did play in many different positions, and when he plays for Kosovo, I think it is, he does make quite an impression. He plays in his preferred position as an attacking midfielder. At Fenerbahçe, he was often
Macedonia.
Oh, Macedonia, sorry.
Yeah.
For Fenerbahçe, he often is positioned in like you said, central midfield, defensive midfield. And when you saw him, especially in defensive midfield, I really think that you could see that he just looked like a really average player there, because that's not his natural position. He would make really dumb falls, dumb tackles, stuff like that. But that's kind of understandable. I mean, an Adem Laic isn't going to be able to put in a performance as an Atiba Hutchinson does defensively, you know what I mean? So that's normal. And I think one of the most remarkable things about Eljif, not that he impressed anyone, because like I said, he definitely did not impress me, but to be able to keep your head above water in a season, in a team like Fenerbahçe last season, the season they had at 19 years old, to keep your head above water, that does say something, that you are more than just a regular 19-year-old average Joe. So I don't know how you feel about it, Umut. Did you see the raw talent in him this past season? Did you see the quality? Are you surprised by the fee paid? I mean, I have to be honest. I think that 10 million for the performance he had would have been a really good deal for Fenerbahçe. Even I think 16 million is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, great player.
Okay, is that all you're gonna say?
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't paying too much attention to Fenerbahçe in the previous season, to be honest, but he made a great impact.
Okay, that's a different view than most people have, but fair enough. I think, like I said, I think he did score against Galatasaray, didn't he, Burak? In that 2-2?
In the 1-1.
Oh, in the 1-1.
In
right,
yeah.
The late equalizer. Right.
Yeah,
so
but we it was the fall down of our season, because the impact he gave us.
Yeah. So I can understand why, if you didn't watch them too much and you that's your conclusion. I don't know if there's anything else really in terms of transfers. Are there any hot rumors right now, Burak, when it comes to Fenerbahçe?
I think the hottest one here at the moment is Luis Gustavo at Marseille. Apparently, Ali Koç and Kamoli have travelled to France to try and finalise that.
Like 9 million or something, right? It's quite.
Yeah, but I think he's worth that price because.
It's
the position that Fenerbahçe is lacking at the moment.
Mm-hmm. One of many.
The question is, can they afford him? I mean, if you look at it, if you look at what they spent so far this season, and of course they can't.
They can go to the loan option, I think.
Yeah, they could do that. But they have, I think, right now, if you look at what they spent and what they have gotten in with this Eljif Elmas transfer, they have a roughly 9 million plus. So they could theoretically spend 9 million on Luis Gustavo, for example. But I think we can all agree that Fenerbahçe need a central defender. And
definitely.
Maybe 3 even.
I mean, Sarah Aziz injured, or what's going on with him right now?
Injured.
Yeah, that's his favorite habit, getting injured.
Yeah, so that is a chronic injury.
Talking from experience, I think.
Yeah. Anything else? So that's it. Really, Luis Gustavo right now. No talk about anything else. I mean, from what I can gather from the friendlies, especially offensively, Fenerbahçe seem to be doing okay. Vedat Muric has scored quite a few goals. Max Kruse seems to be finding his stride, pulling the strings. Seems to be going okay in that regard, right? It's mainly defensively that they'll need to strengthen the team and the backbone of the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think going forward we should be doing relatively okay. Like you say, Vedat's got a good number of goals. It's worked well, but at the back, a defensive midfielder, centre backs. Hassan only got injured today, so I don't know who we're going to try and shunt in at left back now. But we were just all over the place defensively.
Was that serious though, his injury, or was it just a precaution, you think, because it's a friendly?
I don't know. It showed him with his foot taped up when he came off doing the sub me sign. He was on
But
crutches.
he walked off himself, didn't he?
He
No?
did. He was on crutches at half time though, because it showed him on crutches in the tunnel.
Okay.
So we'll wait for the prognosis from the doctor on that one. And apart from that, there's people still talking about Kolarov and Kaya, and
Kolarov, yeah.
yeah. So, but nothing seems to be moving forward in regards to Kolarov or Kaya rumors. People just keep tweeting about it on a daily basis.
Yeah, Kolarov seemed a done deal a couple of weeks ago, but since then he's played in AS Roma's friendlies, has gotten on the score sheet, things like that. So Roma still calculating him in for next season. It seems. I mean, it's normal that he goes and joins the team in the training camp, but he started in friendlies. That's not normal for a player that's on his way out. So
Burak, do you see Kolarov as a center back coming to you, but or like a left back, how you usually played until now?
Interesting question. I'd say left back.
I think if Hasan Ali stays, then he'll play left central defender.
Yeah, the left central can be good because he's really good with the ball and technique is like very magnificent.
Your build-up would be amazing.
Yeah, and that's I think what Ersun Yanal favors to do as well.
Well, let's just hope we bloody sign him then.
Ersun Yanal only. What are you talking about? Ersun Yanal just wants a long ball on Emenike. That's all.
How do you see Allah Yar's performance recently?
I think he's one of these ones where you've got some raw talent, and a kid that's just wants to play. He always wants to be on the ball. He always wants to shoot, which I like in my strikers. I like them to be a little bit greedy and want to shoot, but also he's still young. He's just come to Fenerbahçe from where he was in Iran, so he's got to make mistakes, which is absolutely fine because he's like 18. But you can see his energy when he's on the pitch, and he doesn't shy away from wanting to get involved, which is what I like as well. So I'll be interested to see how much playing time he gets this season. I will definitely start him in all of the Turkish Cup games, without a doubt. And starting 11-wise, I don't think he's going to be getting a lot of minutes starting 11, but I can certainly see him being brought in as an impact sub.
Semi Shintuk.
Well, let's see. He's still got a way to go.
He scored once in one of the first friendlies. I think. Did he score anymore?
As far as I know, no. He got the one goal in. I think it was in the loss to Hertha Berlin, I believe, which was a good build-up. It was a good crossing by Murat Salam, who I really like as right back, and then Allah finished it with a good finish into possible. So I hope to see more of him. Let's see. I hope he starts tomorrow against Real Madrid.
Tomorrow? You're playing again tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay, joy for you.
Fun.
So I think that's pretty much it for Fenerbahçe. Let's move over to Galatasaray because I think that's where the real juicy stuff is right now. Nothing finished yet. No new transfers since we last spoke about transfer for Galatasaray, I think. Or did we mention Jimmy Durmaz and company? I think we spoke about that already, didn't we?
No, I think Seri came through.
Right, Seri, that's right. Seri from Michael Seri from Fulham on loan with an option to buy for 18 million euros. So that's probably just going to be for one season.
Yeah, too much for us to afford.
Yeah, and Jimmy Durmaz on a free transfer. Adem Büyük, but we spoke about that, I'm sure. But the big news right now is Radamel Falcao. Supposedly the deal will either be off the table or done in the next 48 hours, according to Ibrahim Seten from Bipspor, and he's pretty accurate. What's being talked about right now is a wage of 6 to 7 million euros a year for 3 years, 2 plus 1, for Radamel Falcao. Let's be honest, in the past decade, one of the best strikers in Europe. He's had his fair share of misfortune with a very bad ACL injury. Had fantastic performances at Porto, at Atletico Madrid, then had an ACL injury, went to Monaco. Monaco loaned him out to, I think, Manchester United at first, then Chelsea. Both were not successful stints. But then he went back to Monaco and has had two very good, decent seasons. 18 goals and 15 goals, I think, respectively in Ligue 1. Scored against Besiktas in the Champions League 2 years ago as well. He's 33, going on 34 now. What do you think, Umut? Is it worth the investment of roughly 20 million for 3 years?
Well, as far as I can say, Özer really wants this transfer, but in my point of view, his wages too damn high. Even if they tell the sponsor is going to handle it by a percentage, but also my concern is his age. It said that he has a fake ID or so. I don't know about that, but even if he's like 32 or something, it really rises the average age of the team. And having so much old players in the whole team will make a bad impact on the team in a long run.
Galatasaray's age definitely has gone up a lot this transfer window.
Only young players we have right now is Luyendama, Marco, and I think Ozan Vofor right now. So
yeah, and Luyendama, that's an asterisk because there was quite some controversy about his age in Belgium. So he was suspected to be a couple of years older than his passport suggests. If you want, I can dig up the articles I read on that. I don't know. I don't think they managed to find any proof or anything, but that's something that you hear quite frequently from players from Congo and stuff like that. I don't know about Falcao. I've never actually heard that. So
they say that Falcao will make an impression like how Didier Drogba did, but at the time when Didier Drogba came to us, our team was like a really good team, and all the players were in a younger age. Like Muslera was like 26 or 27.
Burak, Selçuk,
and
all in their primes.
Also, and at the defense, we had Semih Kaya, who was in his mid-20s or early 20s even.
Early 20s, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Sneijder, 27.
Yeah, Sneijder, 27. And also we had Eboué, who is also 28 and 27, similar to that. So in that kind of team, Didier Drogba made a great impact. So we had a run through the league title, and with that we went to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But I don't think today's team will have this kind of impact with the transfer of the Falcao. He's too old and isn't really similar to the playstyle which Didier Drogba had, because he's very strong and really good in the air and really good with his feet. But Falcao right now is acts like a poacher kind of player.
I think Falcao is a guarantee for goals.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think of him.
Even
in a team that doesn't have the best, provision of passes, I think he will still get his goals.
So you consider it like Buffett's Gomis style?
A lot better than Gomis.
Yeah. Similar to that. So, as we speak, like we have on the right hand side of the field, we have Sofian Feguli and Belhanda in the central, and Babel. We have Babel at the left side, and he's also an older player. So
but he still has his energy. I mean,
but you cannot act like pretending to ignore his age. So I think Falcao will rise the age, and I know it means more goals, but I don't favor this kind of move. On the other hand, which is rumored, is Samatta from Genk, and you know him very well.
Yes, I know that's not happening.
Yeah. I don't know if it's happening, but
no,
also
it's impossible. You cannot afford it.
In recent days, it's been told Emre Mor is coming to it, which I believe is a good move for Galatasaray. It's my kind of move because young, energetic, and he needs to prove himself for last time in his career because
his last chance.
he was in a fall for recent years. So
if this fails, he's just in Batuhan Karadeniz.
He has a broken mindset and broken manners for a player in his early age, but he still has the potential to rise up and again. And with a coach like Fatih Terim is a great motivator, and also dealt with players kind of Emre Mor states, and not as ultimate as Emre Mor, I think, but he also dealt with Emre Belözoğlu in his past, or Engin Baytar as well.
It's different though. Emre,
I know.
Emre lives for the sport, lives for football. You can't say the same about Emre Mor.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think he is able to handle him, and if the deal happens, it's been told about like 7 or 8 million euros of buyout clause, so it's really affordable for a club like Galatasaray.
If you win the league.
Yes, definitely, and also a great run in Champions League will help to afford that price as well.
You expect it, yeah.
It's a great move for Galatasaray, I believe.
Yeah, the very interesting situation regarding Emre Mor too, because first a couple of weeks ago it seemed like the deal was done, but then his agency came out and said, "Look, whoa, what's going on here? This is we did not negotiate anything with Galatasaray. We will take legal action against the player because supposedly he tried to dump his agency and went to talk to Galatasaray on his own, trying to cut out his representation." And then today, or was it, I think today or yesterday, an agent from that agency came out and said deal is done. Negotiations between Celta and Galatasaray. And then Emre Mor replied on Instagram and like, who is this guy? And then we saw afterwards, that same agent reply again, you know who I am. I'm the man who negotiated the deal between Celta and Galatasaray. It's up to you now, Emre. You have to agree with Galatasaray or whatever. I've never seen that in my life before. Very amateuristic. But we'll have to wait and see if Emre Mor arrives there. I think it's like you say, it's a high. It's a low risk, high potential reward. I mean, 1 million loan fee for a player with a lot of potential. I don't have to be honest. I think that even if Fatih Terim gets him on track for a while, I think he's destined to fail. I can't see him ever. Maybe he'll have a good year, maybe 2, but I don't think he will ever even come close to the potential he has with his capability, talent. And I don't think he will be a Sergen either, because Sergen, despite not reaching his full potential, he still had a great career. I don't think Emre Mor will have a career like
Sergen was like a genius on the field, but this guy has no idea what he does on the field right now. He has no clue what's going on the field and what the tactics are given to him, or how he should act considering his teammates going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he's ever coming close to Sergen. So you should not be even.
Yeah, but I'm just mentioning it because Sergen is a similar example of a player that could have achieved so much more if he just put his mind to it. Burak, what do you think when you see these numbers for Falcao? 6-7 million a year, 3-year deal, 34-year-old player. What do you think when you see that kind of stuff?
I think it's a continuation of sending Galatasaray into bankruptcy. It's a prestige signing for short-term results, and I think even if Falcao does come and ends up, scoring 20+ goals and leading Galatasaray to the title, the financial impact he's going to leave in the club is going to be a lot harder to come back from. And that's my thoughts on the matter. Of course, it'd be great to see that name in the Turkish league, even if it's going to be playing for Galatasaray. But I think the club needs to be a little bit smarter with how they spend their money. But you still got the possibility that Jugner and Belhanda will be sold, so you've got that to look forward to potentially. There should be a nice, at least I think 20 million for both of those.
Yeah, but Jugner
more.
doesn't seem very willing, and there doesn't seem to be all that much interest either, especially with some troubles going on in the Arabian leagues apparently, where some corruption scandal or something, I believe, which has kind of prevented them from making any big signings so far. And that seemed to be his destination, but I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, and they've got these players on, high wage. So Belhanda, who's on a high wage, and if you can't sell Jugner, he's there on a high wage. And then if you choose to bring in Falcao, then you're going to be paying him a high wage as well. So I think I think eventually it's going to catch up, and there's going to be a situation where the money runs out.
Yeah.
So.
The big question I have, sorry to interrupt you, Burak, but the big question I have is, look, Galatasaray were under a financial fair play settlement a couple of years ago, when they got Podolski, and so, and then they couldn't comply with the settlement agreement with the parameters set before them, and they took a European ban and exited that settlement. Then the following summer they went on to spend like 45 million euros. They did also sell Bruma, I think, that has to be said. But they spent a shit ton of money. They bought a lot of players: Maicon, Gomes, Belhanda, Feguli, with Maicon and Belhanda being for high fees, high wages. They spent an absurd amount of money that summer, and it's just very puzzling to me that ever since they took that European ban willingly in exchange for basically getting out from under that 4-year settlement, which they're back under a settlement now anyway. But ever since that happened, which has only occurred 3-4 years ago, they've been spending so much money. I don't understand where is that money coming from, especially given the economy in Turkey right now. And I remember back in the early 2010s when they got Snyder, when they got Drogba, that it was very much, look, they're banking on Champions League money every year with these guys, and if they don't make the Champions League, it's going to hurt them. I think they've gotten really lucky the last 2 years to have won the title twice, getting that Champions League money. Champions League money has only increased, by the way, because the Champions League pool is only gone up in the last couple of years. So they've gotten lucky in that regard, but I don't know. It seems, I have no doubt that Radamel Falcao will be successful if he stays healthy. He's an amazing striker, amazing player. But the question is, like you say, what are the long-term repercussions going to be for Galatasaray? At some point, there has to be an implosion.
It's going to catch up. It's going to catch up with them eventually.
Like it did with Fenerbahçe, and Besiktas too.
So I think that whoever's running the club just needs to say, look at the bigger picture, which is what was being done at Fenerbahçe and Besiktas, and that means pain in the short term. But hopefully it means that in the long term you're going to be looking at a club that is better run, with better finances. So if he does sign, then we'll have to see what effect that has on the wage bill and the financial fair play settlement for this coming season.
Yeah, Umut, what's the departures at Galatasaray this summer? Who's left already?
Well, who's left already? I have to look to my...
Did any big contracts leave this summer?
Well,
no, right?
Not really. It's expected that Jagna is to be sold, and expected the biggest money is expected from there. I think our squad is kept literally the same as last year.
Yeah, but what I'm mainly aiming at here is the wage bill. So Galatasaray were roughly on 55 million annual wage bill last season, and I don't think any big earners left.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
I think Fernando left.
Yeah. So let's say that's like, what did Fernando make? Like 3.5?
Maybe? Similar to that. Yeah, not 4. 3.5 around that.
Okay, so let's say 3.5. Did anyone else leave?
I don't really think so.
Just thinking. Nagatomo's still there.
No.
Mariano's
Onyekuru
still
left,
there.
but his wage is
Right.
not that high.
His wage was low. So Fernando left. It's like 3.5 million less. So let's say that Galatasaray are on like a 52 million wage bill right now. Who did they transfer? They got Ryan Babel. That's
Babel.
You know, that's 2.5
Adem
million plus his signing fee. Adam Buick, he'll be earning peanuts. I don't think Jimmy Durmaz. What was Jimmy on, like $1 million or something maybe?
Yeah, it's very low.
Yeah, it's pretty low. Well, relatively
Adam
speaking,
Buick
of course.
is low.
Adam is like 600k, I think, which is fine. But
the
it adds
reserve
up, of course.
goalkeeper Okan Kojuk came, and Valentine Ozonvafor came.
Yeah. Let's say you added 2 million with those guys, 2.5 million with Babel, so that's 4.5 million. That's like 60. Let's say 56 million a year. If you're gonna add Falcao to that, then you're over 60 million a year. I'm pretty sure Galatasaray and their financial fair play settlement have a stipulation that they cannot increase their wage bill.
Yes, but there's some kind of flaw in the description of that fair play thing. I think
plenty
looks
of ways
to the
around it.
It doesn't look to the wage bill, but it does to the transfer fee you pay.
But there's different parameters. There's like total employee expenses. There's limitations to that, and then there's also you can only buy and sell. You have to buy. You can't sell. You can't buy for more than you sell, but that's a different thing. You also have complete employee expenses, which you have to read the agreement, because it's possible that it varies, because not every settlement agreement is the same. But anyway, I mean, even if they offload Diagne, who's on a relatively small wage, 2.3 million a year, if they offload him, that's still gonna leave them at easily 60 plus million in terms of a wage bill.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm against this transfer. It's like a transfer like we did back in 2001 with Mario Jardel. He took really higher than the rest of the team at the time, and I think it's not mentioned, but it has to make the other players upset about the issue here. So I don't know about those, but also Falcao's higher wage will make a bad balance on the team. I don't know if it's getting paid by the sponsors by a certain percentage, but I'm against that transfer certainly.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, sponsorships paying wages is not allowed, but there's ways around that. I mean, Besiktas did with Shinji Kagawa the last 6 months too, that somebody else paid his wages, so it's possible. There's so many ways around financial fair play, but it's definitely going down a dangerous road for Galatasaray. I think they keep on banking on winning the league. If they have a season like Besiktas had 2 seasons ago, where theoretically they have a squad that should always be winning the league but don't win the league, I think that could have serious.
Let me say. I just remembered Papa Ndiaye left to Stoke once again.
Yeah.
So I think but he's not a higher wage player.
I don't know. I mean, I imagine he was earning quite a lot in the Premier League. Of course, Stoke relegated, but quick thoughts. Michael, what's his first name? Jean Michael or whatever.
Seri.
Just
say Seri.
Yeah, he's not really what you're looking. I mean, he's not really what Galatasaray need right now. He's not a defensive midfielder like Fernando. He's a good player without a doubt.
I think he came for like the alternative for Ndiaye, and since he's gone, so he's like an 8 who serves the ball and builds up the play on the midfield, just like a partner to Belhanda up front, not like a player like Donk and Fernando at the moment. So
any more developments on the 6?
No, so we are just in search for a 6 right now, in a dire need, because we don't have it. And
is there anyone rumored heavily at the moment, or is it all attention on Falcao and Emre Mor?
In the whole summer, it's been rumored like for the guy at Sevilla, I forget his name, the defensive midfielder, Spanish midfielder.
Right, Massa or something.
Yeah.
Massa.
Yeah, I think
Something
he
like
was
that.
it.
Mesa.
Yeah,
Mesa.
Mesa, yeah, Bruno Mesa, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good player to be rumored, but I don't see it happening right now as the talks are like just disappeared.
Yeah, but that's definitely something that will probably further evolve. I think you wanted to make a quick point on Galatasaray's friendlies as well.
Yeah, Galatasaray played 3 friendlies with the German teams Red Bull Leipzig, Augsburg, and French team Bordeaux. So, like, new players made their debuts for the club in these 3 games. Ryan Babel really played well in these 3 games and scored 3 goals, hoping him to continue to impress Galatasaray fans in this kind of process. He's showing the reason why he's both at the point. And Valentin Ozanwafor played. He's a Nigerian rankster center back, left-footed. At first, I watched him live in U20 games with Nigeria. I wasn't actually really positive in his play style because he wasn't actually the player who Fatih Terim would favor because he's not fast or good with his feet at the moment, but he has a good future ahead of him. So I think we can wait for his potential. And right now
Was talk of him going to Kayserispor, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
he should be loaned out to give us some space on the foreigner players upcoming. And also Jimmy Durmaz, as well-known Swedish right winger, left-footed, and played really well in every friendly game. Great addition to the squad and as in depth because Galatasaray will compete in 3 different cups in this year or so it wasn't really neat. Adam Büyük also came in as a local player, a native, so not expecting really much from him, but playing really good. Also we bought Okan Koçuk from Bursaspor, goalkeeper. He's a really young player at the moment. He did some good acts in his 2 games, I believe. And also I think the one addition is Şener, came from Fenerbahçe, right back, alternative to Mariano at the moment. So right now we have 2 right backs and 2 left backs if you include Martinez as a left back alternative. And Fatih Terim made a weird thing, making a difference on the Ömer Bayram's position and playing him a box-to-box center midfielder at these 2 games, and he impressed everyone with his play in these 2 games. So I think initially, which was thinking that Ömer Bayram was leaving in this summer, with his plays in these 2 games, I think he's now becoming a great alternative for the numbers 8 position, I believe, in this upcoming season.
Okay. Quick look then at Trabzonspor. They made 1 transfer, I think, since our last podcast that we focused on transfers. Gaston Campi, a central defender from Estudiantes. They bought him for 800,000, and I think that's a position they really needed some strengthening in. I'm not familiar with the guy. I don't know if you guys have seen him play ever. Burak, have you ever seen him?
Negative on that one.
And you, Umut, have you ever seen
No.
Gaston Campi play? No. Okay, so unfortunately, not much of an analysis for him. Then quickly taking a look at Besiktas here. So they bought another striker, Enzo Civelli, for 2.7 million from Caen in the Ligue 1. They also bought Miguel Vieira from Lugo for 1.3 million, and they had already loaned a couple of weeks ago Okechukwu Azubuike from Pyramids FC. Of course, he played for Çaykur Rizespor last season on loan. and of course under Okan Buruk, their new coach right now, so he really wanted him at Basaksehir. It was also rumored with Besiktas, so Basaksehir got that one. And then yesterday they signed a central defender from Deportivo Aves in Portugal. His name is Ponk, but I'm not familiar with him at all. But quickly just wanted to mention Başakşehir signings. So Enzo Civelli, another striker that doesn't seem to score too many goals, but he's still pretty young. Kind of looks a little bit like Sebastian Frey, facial feature-wise, but I don't know what we're going to have to expect from him. I think he had 8 goals last season, and then of course they had already signed that Gulbrandsen guy, but neither of them seem to be really strikers that score a lot of goals, but now they have those 2 guys, foreigners. They still have Dembaba, who was also a foreigner, of course, so Başakşehir having quite a few foreign strikers. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be Okan Buruk's number 1 choice. Now, I did want to talk about shirts as well, but I know Burak is very tired, so we're going to talk about the new kits for the big clubs in one of the future episodes, maybe a bonus episode or something. But I think that'll do it for us for this week for Football Turca. Don't know if either of you have anything left to add, or Burak, are you already falling asleep behind your computer?
No, not at all. I just hope we get the Fenerbahçe youngsters start tomorrow against Real Madrid. So start Burak Salam, start Al-Ahyar, start Ferdi Kadıoğlu, start even Yusuf Mert, and start Jibrail on the left. Just give them a run out. It can't get any worse than what it did today. And at least if we play the youngsters, then I think the fans will be happy. And make some transfers soon, please. Thank you, Ali Koch.
And you, Umut, any final thoughts?
Not really.
Okay, so next week we will probably be back with some big transfer news. Radamel Falcao, yes or no? I think we'll know by then. We don't really have a special episode scheduled right now. I'm going to try and line something up with John for one of the coming weeks. But thank you for listening to this episode of Football Turca. And next time, I'm sure Uzar will be back as well. So see you all down the road, Turcaholics.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys and girls. Thanks for listening.